Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm the Maize Madman. Before we get started, make sure you hit the like button, share this with your social media and your friends, drop a comment in the comment section, and subscribe. Today we're talking Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh's future and if Michigan will give him the clause. It is all about the clause. All that, and of course, I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully. But disrespectfully, it's disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans. Poor little bro, man. And I'ma tell him where I'm at. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus. The other state. And of course, as always, I'm upset.
Maize and Blue Nation, it's Tom Brady. I co-founded Autograph with one mission in mind: change the fan experience for the better. That's why I'm excited to announce the release of a new app that recognizes the biggest Michigan fans. The Autograph Fandom app gives you access to the best Michigan content, fan challenges, and exclusive rewards for diehard Wolverines, all for doing the things you already do, like listening to this podcast. Head over to the Apple App Store and search for Autograph Rewarding Fans and download today.
All right, and let's get right to it. We begin with the most pressing news in Ann Arbor. If you're a Michigan fan, if you're a player, if you're a coach, if you are Jim Harbaugh, if you are the University of Michigan AD Ward Manuel or the President Santaono, any of the regents, this is the most pressing thing in existence right now for you. That is re-signing Jim Harbaugh. And it seems like, according to the Detroit Free Press, Jim Harbaugh wants a clause in the contract that would prevent the university from firing him with cause if the NCAA turns and, brings down the hammer on Jim Harbaugh or the university for the outstanding investigations going. And there are two investigations. There, of course, is Burgergate. We know about that. And then there is the Connor Stallions cheating investigation as well. And what Jim Harbaugh wants is for the university to basically wrap his arms around them and say, hey, if this comes back that, it looks like the NCAA is going to levy some punishment, you are safe and they cannot fire him with cause. The thing that maybe Mel Tucker should have had in his contract, because of course Michigan State ended up firing him with cause. That is the thing. When you fire someone with cause, you can void the entire contract. You don't have to pay them anything. And that is of great importance to Jim Harbaugh, who just brought Ann Arbor a national title. The current deal is rumored to be around 10 years, $120 million. So you don't want to miss any of that money, of course. And of course, you want to be appreciated and your work to be appreciated at the University of Michigan. So there is that side of it. However, there is the side of the university, right? And them trying to protect the university, trying to protect the esteem, if you will, the image of the university. And that is something that they have to consider. Although it seems Santaono is on Jim Harbaugh's side firmly, it is Ward Manuel, the athletic director, who does have some hesitation here. Whether you agree with Ward or not, it's irrelevant. It's just the fact that a deal needs to get done, or maybe it's too late. And let me explain why maybe it's too late. Because according to On3 and Chris Ballas, Jim Harbaugh's interview with the Los Angeles Chargers was positive, and the Chargers are said to be interviewing the top GM candidate possible right now, and that's the Indianapolis Colts GM, Ed Dodds, who has a relationship with Jim Harbaugh, and it is thought that if the Chargers can get Dodds on board, then it is just a formality with signing Jim Harbaugh then, after, of course, they interview some other candidates to meet the NFL's Rooney Rule stipulation. So, believe what you will there. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Is it just a foregone conclusion that Jim is going to the Chargers? Is it still a possibility that Ward Manuel and the University of Michigan include the clause that Jim wants in the contract? Should they include the clause? Let's talk about it, because I'm sure that there are people who think that they should not include the clause. There are people who think they should include the clause. Let's talk about all of the possibilities in the comment section. Be sure to comment below. And a bit of more positive news for Michigan. Their NIL collective, the Champion Circle, is halfway to its goal, more than halfway to its goal of $10 million for NIL opportunities for the roster. Of course, I believe it started at like $5 million. They obviously exceeded that, and now the goal is $10 million. And that might even be low these days for what it costs to keep a team together, or to go and get, quality players out of the transfer portal and other things, because according to On3, $15 to $20 million is what it takes basically to keep a team together and to be able to do in the portal with teams like the other state and Ole Miss have done so far in the portal. By the way, Ole Miss got an ex-Wolverine in Amorian Walker as he committed to them, I believe, yesterday. So that is what's happening. By the way, there have been rumors that a few universities, Southern universities as they are, offered one Michigan player in excess of $800,000 to join their university, and another Southern school offered a UM player $400,000. So that's two players, and already you're at $1.2 million, or over $1.2 million in NIL contributions, if that is indeed the case. Ward Manuel, Michigan's current athletic director, has been a little slow in terms of turning that NIL corner and really ramping up the NIL, even though he and President Santa Ono did a good job after Michigan won the national title of raising money in the aftermath of that championship. But going forward, it has to be more of a proactive approach in terms of raising money for NIL opportunities. And right now, Michigan is headed that way. And it may be a slow grind, but definitely heading in a positive direction. Hopefully, they keep going in that direction and are able to land some quality players, either in the transfer portal or out of high school, either way. As many of you know, all the news coming out of Ann Arbor isn't great. Michigan lost the commitment of their top recruit in the 2025 class, Chris Ewald. He was the cornerback from Florida. He backed out of his commitment after a visit to Georgia and shortly after Jim Harbaugh's interview with the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm sure it's very easy for schools like Georgia and others to negative recruit Michigan for the fact of Jim Harbaugh interviewing with NFL teams, and it has been that way for a few years now, and I'm sure has contributed to Michigan's lack of top 10 finishes in terms of recruiting. So whenever this thing can be resolved, whether it's the clause or whether it's Jim moving on and someone else stepping up, the better really for Michigan recruiting, I'm sure, because they need some sort of stabilizing factor so that this sort of thing doesn't happen. Missing out on Chris Ewald would be massive. Obviously, they're in the mix for DJ Pickett. This could potentially affect that because those two guys are close, both of them in the Florida area. And then, of course, missing out on Bryce Underwood. I'm not sure that it was all Jim Harbaugh and the NFL and all those things that caused the Wolverines to miss out on Underwood, but it's still somebody in the backyard that in my opinion, was a must-get for the Wolverines that they didn't get. Now, granted, he hasn't signed anything with LSU and things could happen, but it still would have been nice for him to commit to the Wolverines a couple weeks ago, or last week. That said, we move on. Chris Ewald has not ruled the Wolverines out of his recruitment. He has just decommitted, and there are some around the program that think that Michigan is still right in the thick of it, and hopefully that is the case because he has been committed to the Wolverines for over a year. He committed back in December of 2022, and for him to back out now, especially after Michigan has won a national championship, is a bit disheartening, but we'll see what happens. According to On3 contributor E.J. Holland, he spoke with Ewald's father, who said that Michigan is still in contention for his commitment. So that is the news there. We move on. In other news, Michigan coaches spread out across the country to visit some Michigan commits as well as some Michigan targets, and that includes wide receiver Gatlin Bair out of Idaho. He's a top 100 recruit, ranked number 43 overall, the 11th ranked wide receiver and the number 1 ranked player in the state of Idaho. Ron Bellamy, Wolverines wide receiver coach, was in Idaho to speak with Bair's coach, where he laid out basically the fit for Bair in Michigan's offense, the things that they would like to do with him moving forward, and that sort of thing. So Michigan does have the crystal ball for Bair. They also lead in On3's recruitment prediction machine. But, of course, there is the big elephant in the room of Jim Harbaugh possibly leaving the university. So Michigan will have to deal with that, as well as, I'm sure, like with Georgia, Oregon is negative recruiting based on that. So we'll see what happens there. In other news, the Wolverines, Kirk Campbell visited the top quarterback in the 2026 class, Brady Smigel. Smigel out of Newbury Park, California, has been a target of the Wolverines now for a while. The Wolverines are competing with the likes of Oregon, Oregon State, and Florida State for Smigel's signature in the 2026 class. He is a 6'4", 180-pounder, rated as a 4-star on 24/7 and Rivals.com. Kirk Campbell also visited with Michigan commit Carter Smith on Tuesday and then flew out to California to meet with Smigel. We'll have more information on that as it becomes available. Bair and Smigel weren't the only players that Michigan coaches saw, as defensive back coach and co-defensive coordinator Steve Klingscales made the trip to Zephyr Hills to speak with the number 1 player in the state of Florida, DJ Pickett. You've already heard me talk about how DJ Pickett has many ties to the university. His grandmother still stays in the Detroit area. DJ Pickett is Michigan's number 1 player on the board, especially since Bryce Underwood has committed to LSU. Pickett is the number 1 safety and, again, the number 1 player in the state of Florida. He is huge for the Wolverines. He's 6'3", 170 pounds. He also plays wide receiver for his high school. He's the number 6 overall prospect nationally, according to On3. A very solid 5-star plus player, and it would be a massive get for Michigan if they can land him. One of the selling points for Michigan, other than, of course, his mother attending, his aunt being also attending, his grandmother living in the area, and now his father starting to come around to Michigan. His mother is already very pro-Michigan, but one of the other selling points is Steve Klingscale himself. DJ Pickett and Steve Cleanscale have a great relationship, and Steve Cleanscale is expected to be around even if Jim Harbaugh moves on to the NFL. If Sharon Moore becomes the coach, it is thought that Steve Cleanscale will still be a coach on the Michigan staff. So that's huge in terms of a selling point for DJ Pickett. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Let's talk about it. Does Jim move on from Michigan? Do they get the clause in the contract? Let's talk about all of it. And of course, follow me everywhere at Maize Madman. Until next time, stay angry, my friends. I'm upset.
Ladies and gentlemen, this might be our best season ever. My ratings, they're about to go through the roof. All right, now I'ma calm down. So I'ma calm down, son. I just don't get that all that Maize and that lock and all that. I just don't get it, son, for real. Just calm down.